Hello, welcome to OGTV News. I am Mojisola Shulaja. Our top stories. Governor Abiodun assures NSAS protesters of genuine police reform. House of Representatives tinkers with Constitution Amendment. IMF projects Nigeria's economy to contract by 4.3% in 2020. Europe considers new restrictions as second wave of coronavirus surges. Happiness is the highest form of health.
On sport news tonight, federal government to honor 69 grand sport icons. I'll be back on the sports segment of the news for more stories. My name is Moses or Jeremy. Stay fast.
The governor of Ogun State, Prince Dr. Abiodun, has reiterated his commitment to the welfare of workers in the state. The governor gave this assurance while receiving the leadership of the organized labor in the state, who were in his office on a thank you visit. Governor's office correspondent Tunde Olaniro reports that the labor leader assured the governor of the loyalty to the current administration in the state. His reports.
For the promise made and kept, the organized labor in Ogun State are in the governor's office to say thank you.
Particularly for redeeming some of those pledges made to us as per the Principal General, the Headmaster General, and also for appreciating excellence in the teaching profession by honoring those teachers that have performed outstandingly. I want to assure you, sir, this will go a long way to encourage others to put their best for the service to our great city. So we want to enjoin you, sir, to continue in this regard, because this will go a long way to motivate others and to also bring out the potentials, in the workforce of the state. We are ready to support this government, to reinstate our commitment to serve this administration without any hesitation.
The governor of Ogun State, Prince Dr. Abiodun, in his response says the government and the organized labor are one and the same, working for the people of the state.
We continue to do that. We'll be rest assured that your welfare is part of the mandate that we have. We are here to build the future of Ogun State together. I've said over and over, my mission here is to rebrand the state, by the grace of God. And we are very crystal clear in what we want to do and how to achieve that objective. We encapsulated our vision into 5 main pillars that we call Ishaya, I for infrastructure, S for social well-being and welfare, E for education, Y for youth empowerment and job creation, and A for agriculture. And we are pursuing all those 5. We are pursuing them very aggressively.
He says his commitment to the welfare of the workers is total, irrevocable, and complete.
We are not an administration that makes a lot of noise, because we believe that government and governance is not about noise making. But the people who are the beneficiaries of what we're doing, they know what we're doing. Because if suddenly a dilapidated family health care center in your ward now suddenly is wearing a new look, you don't need an advert on channels for someone to tell you that. It has changed and services have changed. If a primary school in your ward also, a few classrooms there have been innovated, you don't need an advertisement in the newspaper for you to know that. If the road that you are traveling to come to work has suddenly become rehabilitated, you also appreciate it. If you suddenly realize that one of your relations has now benefited from our Anchor Brass program, where he's now been given land, he's being given input, he started farming, and suddenly he's telling you that he's become an agripreneur where he has farmed and he is earning money. You don't need an advertisement for that to be appreciated. And these are the kind of things that we're doing in our administration. We're doing the things that matter.
The governor notes that a huge housing policy is being executed, which is unprecedented in the history of the state.
Of which you are the major beneficiaries. And we've gone about it without a lot of noise making. We came into government and we promised and said, we will ensure that we provide affordable housing for our people. And we've placed our civil servants as priority and actually giving you preferential pricing. We were actually building just for our civil and public servants initially. Later on, we began to get a lot of complaints from people that say, so because we are not civil servants, we also will not have affordable price. They say, okay, no problem. We'll make it available to everybody else, but at a slightly different price, so that our civil servants know that we are pushing. Without making a lot of noise, these are the kind of things that we're doing to rebrand the state. It is my prayer that by the time this administration is done, it will be on record that no other administration has provided as many number of housing units for the people of the state as we have done, because it is something that we are very deliberate about.
Prince Abiodun promised to keep the communication line open between the government and the organized labor for more collaboration in the interest of the state. Tunde Olaniro, OGTV News.
The Governor of Ogun State, Prince Abiodun, has appealed to NSAS protesters to give the government a chance to execute the reform of the Nigeria police, as he urged the protesters to begin to wind down. Prince Abiodun made this appeal when the NSAS protesters visited his office. Governor's office correspondent Tunde Olaniro reports that the governor said there will be no police brutality henceforth in Ogun State, as the Commissioner of Police in the state has been instructed to ensure compliance. His reports.
It started with the Solidarity song.
Solidarity forever! Solidarity forever!
On citing the governor, the protesters took to their knees to observe a minute silence for those who have lost their lives to police brutality. Then they spelled out their demands.
On Sunday, the Inspector General of Police, he said SARS has been disbanded. 2015, SARS was disbanded. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. They are always disbanding SARS every year. 2021 again, if we don't tackle this, they will come out and tell us SARS has been disbanded. And now we don't want more people to die. No, a lot of people have lost their lives. Immediately the IG gave the order to disband SARS on Monday at Surulere. At Surulere, we are tackling police brutality. No more SARS, but we are still tackling police brutality. Ojabi, one of us in the entertainment industry, he was brutalized.
The governor of Ogun State, Prince Abiodun, commended the protesting youths for their decorum, noting that no protester is in detention in Ogun State.
In Ogun State, before I even saw your 5-point demand, I ordered the release of all that were detained. Within 24 hours, they were released. When I found out there were an extra 3 that had been detained because those extra 3 were detained because they were identified as those that went to break into police stations and those that went to vandalize my deputy governor's vehicle. Even at that, I said, for the sake of this protest, because of what our youth stand for, I called my attorney general and I said, we will not file charges against them. Please release them. Unknown to me, after we released those 3 yesterday, there were another 4 that nobody knew of. None of you knew of those other 4. There was, I think, 1 in Ijebu-Ode, 2 in Ilaro. After I released those 3 yesterday, I found out there were extra 4 that nobody knew about. I instructed yesterday again that any other persons that has been detained because of this protest should be immediately released.
He urges the protesters to give the federal government a chance to implement their requests.
Government also has shown symbolism. The things you've asked for, you've not said, okay, we'll do it next week. We'll do it after tomorrow. They've said, okay, you've asked for this, we're doing it. You don't want SARS, we are disbanding them immediately. Not only did the IG say so, the president came out and said so himself, just in case if it appeared as if the IG was speaking on his own. The president came out and said, SARS is disbanded. Secondly, the president set up a committee to look into all the issues. While that committee was meeting, he got your 5-point agenda. And he said, all the 5-point agenda, he is adopting them. So really, you have succeeded.
Prince Dr. Abiodun says, henceforth, there will be no police brutality in the state.
I think what we need to do is to allow for us to begin to see the implementation of these reforms. You know, the implementation will not be instant because it will take time for them to be visible. What we must ask ourselves is the government committed? Have they shown symbolism? But I want to make a commitment to you. You will not see any police brutality in this state. You will not see it. The CP is under instruction.
The governor noted that his administration is committed to the security and safety of lives and property in the state, especially to the development of youths in the state. Tunde Olaniro, OGTV News.
Meanwhile, suspected thugs have attacked NSAS protesters in Abuja, injuring many of them and disrupting their peaceful rally. The thugs who stormed the venue on Wednesday afternoon reportedly fired gunshots in the air before chasing away the #NSAS campaigners. The protesters have blocked the Julius Berger roundabout with disused tires and stones, and also prevented motorists from plying the route as they occupied the bridge. They were singing solidarity songs when their attackers suddenly appeared and assaulted them. However, no life was lost as the police took control of the situation while the injured were taken to the hospital. The state government has reiterated its commitment towards ensuring that the dividends of democracy get to the nook and cranny of the state. The State Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftains Affairs, Honorable Afolabi Afuakwe, stated this while inaugurating some projects in Ijebu East local government area of the state. Idowu Fabajo reports.
At the inception of the current administration led by Prince Dr. Abiodun in Ogun State, the government promised the revival of local government areas in the state, and of recent, many projects have been inaugurated in different locations in fulfillment of its electioneering campaign. It was the turn of Ijebu East, and the first port of call was Oru Ijebu, where a block of classrooms with toilet at Oru Primary School renovated by the Transition Committee led by Honorable Callistus Falujo. Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Honorable Afolabi Afuakwe, performs the commissioning on behalf of Ogun State Governor.
Where we feel enlightened, we appreciate the governor for even deeming it fit to give our children better place to have their education.
The team proceeded to a renovated health center which has been abandoned for 16 years at Aberu.
I thank God. I thank the Executive Governor of the Ogun State for the good gesture they give to us in this Aberu. Despite the bad roads, they still consider us, and we thank God today that things is happening. This for the past 16 years that I've come back to this community. This is the first of its kind.
The last port of call was Ogbere with the commissioning of the 20 open store market.
But we have to give thanks to God for giving us the opportunity to be there, and we have to give it to our governor, His Excellency Prince Dr. Abiodun MFR. He's giving us to be part of history, and here we are today. And like he promised, he told the people during the campaign he will come back, and he's coming back through us.
The Commissioner, Honorable Afuakwe, thereafter assures the people of the state of more developmental projects, most especially at the grassroots, adding that Ogbere Road will be considered very soon for construction.
This is just our role. We are just doing our duty. So I don't see that something spectacular. I don't have something so important. But we want to still appeal to our people. We will continue to strive to do more. We don't have choice. But we have to do it within the available resources. But definitely, especially that bridge, if care is not taken, it can collapse any moment from now. We will see what is doable and we'll try our best.
He added that the present administration will not relent in supporting local governments in achieving their purposes. Ido Fabadu, OGTV News.
Thank you, Idowu. We'll take a break. Wife of Ogun State Governor Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun drums of support on right of girl child to quality education. Details in part 2 of the bulletin. You're still watching the OGTV News. Ogun State House of Assembly has expressed the satisfaction with the explanations given by the immediate past Managing Director of the State Property and Investment Corporation, OPIC, Barrister Jide Odushelu, on the manner he ran the corporation, given the 25 infractions noted in the audited accounts between 2015 and 2019. The Chairman, House Committee on Public Accounts and Anti-Corruption, Honorable Musafiu Lamidi, made these remarks during about 6-hour engagement between members of the House Committee and the former Managing Director, alongside some members of the current management of the corporation at the Assembly Complex, Okimoso, Abeokuta. Kolawole Osho's report is presented in this package.
During the exercise, the committee chairman, Honorable Musafiu Lamidi, said in the period under review, the corporation matched the cost of lands and buildings which contravenes the provisions of the accounting standard, while the 5-star hotel Ikeja under it did not have any physical existence but only on paper, and a sum of over 45 million naira was spent to obtain title documents on the landed property, just as the premium of non-current assets for 2015-2016 were not paid as at and when due. Honorable Musafiu also noted that the corporation under Odusholu was just updating its fixed assets register at the period of the audit exercise, while the depreciation policy of 20% on computer equipment did not reflect the volatility on computer technology, hence may have led to the understatement of depreciation amount in the financial statements. The committee classified some housing projects meant for sales like Orange Valley, NTR, OPIC Estate and others as stock in trade. The committee further disclosed that the rental income of OPIC Plaza, Ikeja, was not made available for examination during the 2016 audit exercise, with no traceable records of interactions between the Agbara estate and the billing section of the corporation on the reconciliation of rent income generated. Condemning the operations of 21 bank accounts by the organization, out of which 9 were inactive, the lawmakers also sought explanations on the basis for the agency in the period under review to have kept 27 accounts with only 11 banks amounting to with over 170 million naira active, while the remaining 16 accounts amounting to over 600 million naira were embargoed. Also, the committee observed that the audit report revealed that for 2019, after generating an income, including subventions and grants, of over 3 billion naira and expending a total of over 1 billion naira, the balance is over 2 billion naira, adding that the expected bank balance as year-end 2018 of over 2 billion naira brought the expected balance to over 5 billion naira available to the agency. In view of the above, considering the 2019 bank balance sheets submitted to the lawmakers as over 700 million naira, which represents an unaccounted balance of over 4 billion naira needed to be accounted for, expressing that funds expended on mid-rose residences at Abeokuta were not appropriated for in line with best budgeting practices by the state. Hence, the need to avail the community with documents in support of all cost lines and revenue on the properties between January 2015 and February 2020.
We are not impressed about everything not until we see additional documents, especially when it comes to the issue of appropriation, where we discover that we did not appropriate for
Responding, Barrister Judy Odusholu, who outlined some of the housing projects carried out by the corporation under his purview, appreciated the lawmakers for the opportunity to clarify issues during the period under review. The former MD posited that the corporation needed to be run like an independent business enterprise, which should be devoid of the public service scrutiny, rules and processes, but the lawmakers differed on these as it is against the state extant laws.
Adolescent girls have the right to safety, quality education and healthy lifestyle, especially during the formative years and beyond. This was the submission of wife of Ogun State Governor, Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun, during the celebration of International Day of Girl Child. Adebola Oshomaji covered the event held at the Cultural Center, Kuto, Abeokuta. He reports.
This year's World International Day of the Girl Child, with the theme, My Voice, Our Equal Future, created a platform for adolescent girls and youth to be inspired through the initiatives of the wife of Ogun State Governor, Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, with various stakeholders in the state. The day also focuses attention on the challenges girls face and promotes their areas of strength and interest.
We are looking up to you. We have gotten our own voice. We are expecting you as the future of tomorrow to make sure that your voice counts, so that when we are living, we will be confident that we are leaving behind a beautiful future. We are leaving behind beautiful princesses that will turn to queens.
Aside from education, looking at the unprecedented challenges that the girl child is confronted with due to the social norms that limit her potentials, which gives room for sexual and gender-based violence, it is high time we help in protecting their voices by making them relevant in decision-making so that their interests can be communicated and captured in lawmaking.
In her submission, Mrs. Abiodun notes that much progress has been made in the last 2 decades to ensure every girl is able to develop in good health and quality education, which must be sustained and prioritized in the state.
People, many girls, they are just there suffering silently, unable to speak. Now, the narrative is changing. The world is changing. We now know that when you speak, you will be heard. If your mother doesn't listen to you, your auntie doesn't listen to you, your teacher doesn't listen to you, don't relent. Just keep trying. Keep trying. One day, someone will listen to you and take up your case. Don't be subjugated. Don't allow the words that people speak put you down and keep you down. You must stand up on the inside, even if people are trying to put you down on the outside.
She also encourages girls not to keep mute from any forms of molestation.
The statistics are heartbreaking and have been made worse by the coronavirus pandemic. Right now, nearly 30 million girls in sub-Saharan Africa are out of school. You heard when Mrs. Sheyogo said, like half of the population of girls are out of school. And that is really a deplorable thing, because we know the difference that women can make in any economy. We know the difference that girls can make in any society. This accounts for about half of the girls out of school in the entire world. In some parts of the country, many girls go to school at great risk.
The event featured speaking competition, cultural dance, choreography as Ojiade Christiana Jesu Yimeka from Baptist Girls College emerged the overall winner of the competition. Adebola Oshomoji, OGTV News.
In a bid to promote peaceful coexistence amongst the people, the Ogun State House of Assembly has mediated in the crisis surrounding the conferment of a traditional title, Babaloja in Mowe, Obafemi Wode local government area, between concerned parties. Consequently, the Assembly, through its Committee on Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, barrister led by Honorable Akim Balogun, affirmed the collective decision of elders and leaders of Igbo land and Mowe community that Nuruddin Aino Alowole is the new Babaloja of Mowe land. Honorable Balogun made the pronouncement shortly after the concerned parties in the community articulated the resolution as presented during a meeting with the representative of Alake and Uluwo of Igbo land, Chief Atonda Odeshola, Bale of Imedu land, Mowe town, Chief Jimo Adebayo, and other chiefs at the Assembly Complex, Okinoso, Abeokuta, with commendation to them for embracing peace through peaceful dialogue with all concerned parties. Earlier, the representative of one of the concerned parties, who is the Ashiwaju of Mowe, Chief Olusegun Ewedimu, briefed the lawmakers on the efforts of the committee leaders to resolve the issue through internal peace dialogue mechanism, having engaged both parties in mutual discussion at ensuring harmonious relationship between them to advance development of the area. The new national policy on virtual engagement in federal public institutions in the country has been approved by the federal government. The Minister of Information and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Pantami, announced this while briefing journalists after the meeting of the Federal Executive Council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari.
COVID-19 has disrupted the world and the way we conduct our activities. And now virtual engagements are becoming the new normal. It is because of this that we came up with a memo that will institutionalize virtual engagements in federal public institutions in order to make sure that even after COVID, virtual engagement is recognized by the federal government of Nigeria as a way of communication or a medium of communication. Furthermore, there are many benefits to that. Firstly, many of us today have adopted to the new normal, and we discover it saves costs, it saves time, and it also helps in improving transparency and fighting corruption. Because usually when there is a physical contact, it is true that means that corruption is being perpetrated. But when we minimize physical contact, then by implication we are minimizing corrupt practices and many more.
We presented a memo for the supply, deployment, installation, testing and commissioning of security equipment for the 7 railway stations across the Federation, namely Idu, Rigasa, Jere, Kubwa, Kaduna and Kano, in the sum of 1,208,325,464 naira 60 kobo.
The duo of Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Pantami, and the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, at the Federal Executive Council meeting. The Federal Executive Council has approved $2 million Nigeria's contribution to the 2020 budget of the West African Power Pool. The virtual meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa Abuja on Wednesday also approved about 30.2 billion naira worth of contracts in Kano and Lagos states. The Minister of Power, Sani Norman, explained that Nigeria's participation in the regional market will generate immediate foreign exchange for Nigeria as oil revenue is dwindling. In remarks on the project, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, informed that all countries in the sub-region are contributing to the pool. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Pintani, has charged the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, to ensure a 500% increase in the number of monthly citizens' digital identity enrollment, up from the current 500,000 monthly enrollment to 2.5 million monthly enrollment. Dr. Pintani gave the charge when he was briefed by the management team of the NIMC on their activities following the final transfer of the supervision of the Commission to the Ministry on the 7th October 2020. The Minister commended the Director General of NIMC, Engineer Ali Aziz, noting that there has been a considerable increase in enrollment since it became the Chief Executive Officer of NIMC. However, the Minister stated that there is still a need to raise the bar even higher by ensuring that the enrollment rate is 5 times the current rate. Dr. Pintani discussed the challenges militating against the success of NIMC's activities, including the challenge of inadequate funds. He directed the Director General of NIMC to set up complaint units in all the commission centers in order to ensure that the complaints of the citizens are promptly addressed. The Minister also directed the Commission to interface more with citizens and to also run awareness campaigns on all media channels and in Nigerian languages to encourage citizens to obtain their digital identity. The personals of 2019 Batch C court members oath on Thursday, 15th October 2020 in the local government offices and NYSC sub-offices in Ogun State. According to a statement from the NYSC State Coordinator, in view of the prevailing coronavirus pandemic, the distribution of certificates will be staggered for the period of 10 days in compliance with the protocol of physical distancing. The statement also adds that corps members are to be fully kitted on the NYSC formal dress code for the exercise. Early discovery of symptoms that are responsible for the development of prostate cancer as a result of low diet in fruits, vegetables, and other factors will help in checkmating the growth of the deadly disease in the enlarged glands, which is common in an average age man. This was the view of medical experts who spoke with OGTV News while observing the trend of prostate enlargement, which is common among men of 50 years and above. Peter Falamo completes the report.
Prostate cancer is said to be the type of ailment in which some cells in the male reproductive organ undergo uncontrolled development located between the rectum and the pubic bone. Medical experts speak on signs of expected symptoms of such disease, notable with changes in the body system, particularly in adults.
Accessory reproductive organ just under the bladder, it's like the size of a walnut, which the Yoruba people call Hausa or Asala. It's so small, and its function is just accessory to the reproductive system. And over time, it grows gradually. And anybody above age of 40, it increases gradually in size.
Then another thing is that the person will notice what we call hesitancy. Hesitancy is he wants to urinate, but needs to wait for the flow of the urine to come out. Another thing the person will notice is what we call intermittent dribbling. After urinating, the person will still notice that the urine is still dropping.
Speaking on some of the common causes of prostate cancer, the medical practitioners say family history and obesity are parts of the indices to developing cancer in men.
People that have been exposed to radiations are at higher risk. Then things like infection of the prostate gland itself. So recurrent infection of the prostate gland, sometimes that occurs from sexually transmitted infection, can increase the risk of developing prostate cancer.
Lifestyle also plays a role as part of the risk factors. And when we talk about lifestyles, we talk about what you take in, like smoking, and then the way we have been living our life generally, a life that is so sedentary.
Although there is high level of survival for prostate cancer patients, early detection of the disease is paramount towards aiding its survival, while some words of advice were preferred for men folk as they grow older.
We should improve our diet, take more fruits and vegetables. Fatty meals and dairy products are known to increase the risk of prostate cancer.
So in death sentence, there are screening modalities in picking those who are at high risk. And one of the commonest one is just a blood test that will not cost up to 5,000, which will help in screening, not necessarily diagnostic, to screen people who have higher risk of coming down with prostate cancer, which is called PSA.
According to them, beyond the periodic medical checkup, daily body exercise by individuals will equally serve as preventive measure against the ailment. Peter Falomo, OGTV News.
The House of Representatives is to begin the process of amending the 1999 Constitution on Thursday with the formal inauguration of the Special Ad hoc Committee by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, and Chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Dr. Kadi Fayemi, are some of the dignitaries expected at the event. Headed by Deputy Speaker Ahmed Idris Wasa, the committee is expected to hold public hearings and collect views of a cross-section of Nigerians. The Court of Appeal has declared the Police Act 2020, enacted in September 2020, as it affects the mandate of the Police Service Commission, unconstitutional and void. The provision of the Act, it ruled, is in conflict with paragraph 30, part 1 of the third schedule to the 1999 Constitution, which empowers the Commission to appoint persons into office in the Nigeria Police Force, except the office of the Inspector General of Police. In judgment, Justice Emmanuel Akomayagin, or one of the three justices of the court, in his concurrent judgment, ruled that paragraph 30 of part 1 of the third schedule to the 1999 Constitution has given the power to the Commission to appoint persons into offices in the Nigeria Police and did not exclude constables and cadets to Nigeria Police, into which the appellant can appoint persons. He declares that no act of the National Assembly or law can take away or curtail such power. In furtherance of its continued efforts to effectively employ scientific approach to crime fighting, the Nigerian Air Force has commenced a 4-week advanced crime scene investigation course for its Air Provost personnel in Lagos. The advanced course, according to a statement by NABS Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikuni Daramola, is aimed at building the capacity and knowledge of the Air Provost personnel. The participants comprise 4 officers and 11 airwomen who are expected to undertake series of practical crime scene investigation sessions, the first of which has been conducted under the watchful eyes of 5 external resource persons and 4 British-trained NAF instructors. This is coming on the heels of the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar's quest to reposition the service into a highly professional force. The operatives of Ogun State Police Command have arrested 2 members of a kidnap syndicate who kidnapped 25-year-old Miriam Fagon and subsequently murdered her 50-year-old mother in the process. Miriam Fagon, who runs a provision store and a beer parlor, was abducted by a 6-man kidnapping gang in Ijo North local government on the 21st of August 2020 when on her way home from the shop. In the process of abducting her, she raised an alarm which attracted people around, including the victim's mother, Anna Fagon. In a statement by the command's public relations officer, DSP Abimbola Oyeyemi, while the people around were trying to chase the abductors with the aim of rescuing her, the kidnappers shot into their midst and the bullet hit the victim's mother, Anna Fagon, who died on the spot. Distress call was made to the police, consequent upon which the DPO Igwa Division CSP Kalajayi Olanrewaju led his men to the scene, and with the collaboration of members of the community, they were able to rescue the victim and apprehend 1 member of the gang, Jimo Fayemi, a native of Omodo in Ekiti State. Upon his arrest, the Commissioner of Police, CP Edward Ajogun, directed that the suspect be transferred to the anti-kidnapping section with a clear mandate that the rest members of the gang must be hunted and brought to book. The team embarked on a technical and intelligence-based investigation which led to the arrest of another member of the gang in Ekiti State, James Arowolo, a 47-year-old native of Ayegula in Kwara State. On interrogation, the duo confessed to having been contracted by one man, simply known as Ade, and his friend, known as Doctor, who live in the same neighborhood with the victim, to come and swindle her of a huge sum of money. But having realized that the woman will not fall into the trap, they decided to kidnap her and demand for ransom. Total rejigging of security architecture and a bottom-top approach in the implementation of various measures that guarantee the security of the country have been identified as the ways out of security challenges facing the nation. This was the aggregate opinion of respondents while speaking on the best approach to address the current security situation in the country. Matthew Shoney reports.
Apart from the battle against the spread of COVID-19, security is another thorny issue that sticks out like a sore thumb in the overall well-being of the nation. Different propositions have been made on what needs to be done to address the issues bedeviling the security of lives and property in Nigeria, and coupled with the recent happenings in the country, there is need to take holistic steps in addressing the challenges.
If you look at it very, very well, you will see that it is the essence principles of the community policing that is actually working for us in Nigeria, that is making us to come together, and we are still united. Why? Because we are using all the sectors, the ethnic groups, we are uniting everybody.
Community policing is a way to go. Why? Because you can never police a people better than themselves. You can never know the terrain of a particular place better than the inhabitants. So the more you give the inhabitants the leverage to secure their community, to secure their town, to secure their state, the better results we are going to have.
Every crime is local. The situation that we have today in this country will always give us security challenges. What we need to do, we need a complete architectural design of security management of this country. What we have today, when we have the police force being centralized at federal level, can never help us.
They stress the importance of the full involvement of the people in achieving success through different security measures being put in place.
You cannot get the best of security without the cooperation of the personnel and the people. But quite unfortunate, either because of one reason or the other that we cannot be going into now, has not allowed, has eroded the people's confidence. The only thing we can do that everybody should understand is security is the business of all.
In the southwest of Nigeria, Ogun State leads. Others follows. We have the Vigilante Service of Ogun State set up, established in 2011. After that, you see Lagos State government forming the Lagos State Neighborhood Watch, which is in line with what Ogun State government formed then as the Vigilante Service of Ogun State.
Security is everybody's business. All of us have to be, involved in it. It is not enough to leave policing and security to only the security agencies. There's very little they can do.
As no nation can achieve progress and development in an atmosphere of insecurity, it is imperative that all hands should be on deck to take the nation out of the current precarious security situation. Matthew Shoney, OGTV News.
On the business news segment, federal government raises alarm on daily wage bill rise. Stay tuned for details shortly. A key goal of any organization is to continue to improve and remain relevant within the sector that it operates. However, within the growing pressure of embracing sustainability and contributing to social change, the role of an entrepreneur is becoming increasingly important. In this special report, Muyoluwa Ajayi examines the impact of entrepreneurship on business growth. The report is presented from our studio.
Entrepreneurship remains a phenomenon of empowering the employees within the organization by valuing their ideas and converting them into a profit-making model for the business. The entrepreneur possesses the characteristics of an entrepreneur but operates within the frame of the entrepreneur, using entrepreneurial capabilities without bearing the associated risks of those activities.
Entrepreneur is someone working an organization for as a maybe small business manager, but also going extra mile to make sure that the business is growing by engaging whatever resources at his disposal, even if it is personal, his own personal resources, to develop that corporation, that business.
As the entrepreneur is focused on starting a firm to produce goods or services, entrepreneurs seek the resources, policies, and technologies that will help the business to thrive.
People become more passionate, and of course to also encourage others, those who are learning through the road, those who are coming behind him. And the implication is that, of course, we have many businesses thriving because people are giving more than they expected to give in the corporate business.
Key area where entrepreneurship contributes to a business would be in the area of innovation.
You do your own thing, like your own passion. I mean, a lot of people are passionate about how they could be creative on their own, what they can do with their hands, what they could achieve on their own, but they do not have the opportunity to do it yet. So the advantage is you get to do your own thing. So it promotes creativity, it promotes entrepreneurship, and in the long run for the economy, it generates a lot of income.
While explaining the prospects of entrepreneurship and business growth, respondents emphasize on the challenges and way out.
Of course, there should be internal control mechanism in place so that in order to check the probable excesses which somebody who is saddled with responsibility can bring into the business. If that is they're able to handle that and curtail the excesses, of course, the disadvantage or the adverse effect will be minimized and mitigated.
For entrepreneurs who are working in companies, businesses, I want to let you know that those companies and businesses need you for growth, and they need you to speak up, and not just speak up, but always come up with a plan for action.
They have a lot of money to do what they have to do, but they don't have the finance yet.
The board, if it is a corporate organization, to be open and doing, to check the excesses of that entrepreneur.
For employees' motivation and successful entrepreneurship, respondents called on employers to encourage and give employees time to come up with dynamic views and express ideas about what problems need to be solved.
The International Monetary Fund has projected that Nigeria's economy will contract by 4.3% in 2020. It disclosed this in its World Economic Outlook report for October 2020. The IMF earlier in April predicted a 3.4% contraction of the economy. It also predicted 5.4% contraction in June. It, however, projected that the economy would recover by 1.7% in 2021. That's the business segment of the news. The World Today is next.